What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who ranking video. Today I'm going to be ranking the post-regeneration stories. Now, these are all of the ones from the first one being Power of the Daleks to the most recent being The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Now, what is the criteria for a post-regeneration story? Well, the main criteria is that it's the first episode of a new Doctor. Specifically, the Doctor's just regenerated in either in the previous story or at the start of this story, and this story is pretty much in full the new Doctor. So it doesn't matter if the Doctor regenerated at the end of the last episode or if they regenerate right at the start of this one, as long as this is mainly 95% of the episode is this new Doctor that's just regenerated. They've just regenerated into this Doctor. That counts as a post-regeneration story, so it's after the regeneration. I've got 12 episodes on the list here. The most controversial one possibly being Rose. I am counting Rose as a post-regeneration story. I was thinking about, do I count it? But I thought, you know what? Why not? Every other story for every other Doctor, I've counted because it just fits into that criteria. Rose doesn't as much because, we don't see the 8th Doctor, or the War Doctor, I suppose, regenerate and then straight away we know that Rose is straight after. But the reason I've counted it is because, mainly because the 9th Doctor actually looks at himself in the mirror, starts checking himself out, saying, oh, the ears are a bit big, and, he starts talking about himself, presuming that he'd never really looked at himself before. So because of that, and just because it's literally the only episode that couldn't completely fit into the criteria, I am counting Rose in this list, so there are 12 episodes to go through. Remember also that this is my personal opinion, but I'd love to hear yours in the comments down below, but let's get started. Number 12. Time in the Ronnie. This is the 7th Doctor's first episode, and it's a big mess. Out of all the classic episodes that I've reviewed so far, of which there's over 100, this is my lowest rated. Yes, I dislike this one more than the Twin Dilemma. Time in the Ronnie is just a massive mess. Doesn't help that you've got the regeneration at the start, and it's not actually Colin Baker that's regenerating because he kind of got kicked out of the show. So it's Sylvester McCoy wearing a wig, regenerating into himself. You've got the Ronnie's introduction, which is cool to have the Ronnie here, but really don't like her in this episode. She's just really annoying. The Doctor is also really annoying in this episode. I mean, you've got the whole post-regeneration craziness, but I think it's pushed a bit too far here. And generally, just the story itself is really stupid and really camp. The whole episode's really camp, and yeah, there's really not a lot to like about Time in the Ronnie in my opinion. Number 11. The Twin Dilemma. So this is the 6th Doctor's first episode, possibly the one that most people would say is the worst, but I think generally both this and Time in the Ronnie are pretty well generally hated in the community, in the fandom. But yeah, the Twin Dilemma, I think it's personally slightly better than Time in the Ronnie. Maybe if I watched them back to back, I'd be different about that because it was quite a long time between watching the two. But yeah, the Twin Dilemma is just pretty crap, to be honest. I mean, the Doctor is awful. I really don't like how the Doctor is portrayed in this episode. Yes, once again, post-regeneration stuff, but it goes too far. I like the thing with, Azafil, I think is his name or something like that, as a male. Basically, it was the Doctor's mentor back in the day, Doctor's teacher. I like his part of the story, but other than that, yeah, the whole twin thing is just stupid, and generally just a stupid story. Just a lot of stupid. Number 10. The Doctor Who movie. So this is the 8th Doctor's first and only real episode. It's the Doctor Who movie from 1996, I believe. Generally, I think there's a big jump from Time in the Ronnie, Twin Dilemma, and this. I think there is a real big jump, but the movie's still not great. I mean, Paul McGann's amazing as the Doctor. I would have loved to have seen him more, and when we did get a little bit more of him, in like the Night of the Doctor and things like that, really good stuff, and also, of course, in Big Finish. But the movie's just not very good, really. It's very Americanized. It's Americanized Doctor Who, which I just don't think fits. The Master is awful. I don't like this version of the Master, Eric Roberts. Just the way he's portrayed is just pretty bad. And yeah, generally the story's just a bit meh. The movie's definitely not terrible like the other two episodes on this list at the bottom are, but yeah, nothing special. Number 9. Castrovalva. So, the 5th Doctor's first story. Now, I do agree that I think I was a little bit too harsh on this episode when I reviewed it. I think I give it a 5 out of 10 when I reviewed it. I've since now put it to a 6 out of 10. I was a little harsh on it, but for me, Castrovalva is still nothing really that special. It's okay, but that's about it. It feels like Logopolis 2.0. It just has that same sort of feeling with it. You know, the whole, you've got the thing in Logopolis of the TARDIS kind of never ending, and then in Castrovalva, you've got the city of Castrovalva never ending, and it just feels very similar. You've also got the Master in there, which makes it even more similar, and generally I just find Castrovalva a little bit boring. I mean, it's not awful, it's definitely not awful, and there's some interesting ideas going on in there, but generally I just don't really find a whole lot of enjoyment about it. I can just kind of watch it and be like, it's alright, but there's really nothing special going on. Number 8. The Woman Who Fell to Earth. So, the 13th Doctor's first episode. Now, if I made this list about a year ago, I think this would actually be higher up. This might even be in the top 5 or 6, but on second viewing, thoughts on it went down a little bit. I still think The Woman Who Fell to Earth is a decent series opener and a decent post-regeneration story, but yeah, definitely the pacing and everything was, looking back on it, it's quite off. I mean, it's kind of there compared to the rest of series 11 and 12, but for normal Doctor Who in the new series, it is kind of off. You know, the Tim Shah is a okay villain. I mean, he's alright. The 13th Doctor's okay here. The fam are okay. You know, it's very much just alright, this episode. It's definitely one of the better episodes of Jodie's Zero so far, but yeah, let's be honest, don't really think that's saying a whole lot. Number 7. Robot. So this is the 4th Doctor's first episode, and Robot is good. On my most recent viewing of it, and when I did my classic review of the episode, it kind of went down a little bit from what I previously thought about it, because I had seen it a couple of times prior to that, but I generally thought it was just alright. It was decent enough. There was some great stuff. I mean, Tom Baker fit into the role straight away. It was awesome having Unit back, Sarah Jane back there as well. It does feel a little bit too much like a third Doctor story in my opinion, because you've got Unit there and everything, and it's, you know, based on Earth. Doesn't feel like what we'd get used to being a 4th Doctor Tom Baker story, but yeah, it's still decent. I think the robot itself is a cool design. Some of the special effects of making it big and small look pretty crap at times. That was one of my main criticisms with the episode, but other than that, Robot, it's pretty enjoyable. It's a good start for the Doctor that has the biggest run. Number 6. The Christmas Invasion. So the 10th Doctor's first episode. Now the 10th Doctor is my favourite Doctor. He's only in 6 though, he's only halfway up the list. Because, I mean, the Christmas Invasion doesn't actually feature a whole lot of the Doctor. He's pretty much out cold asleep for most of the episode. The moments where he does wake up and do stuff though are the best moments. The stuff where he is asleep and it's just kind of Rose, Mickey, Jackie, you've got Harriet Jones in there as well. Those moments are okay, but they can get a little bit boring sometimes, and you're just like, I want to see the Doctor. So when he eventually pops up, you know, when he pops up to destroy the tree and with the pilot fish and all that thing, that's a great moment. When he finally comes at the end out of the TARDIS on the Sycorax ship and there's that whole battle, that is awesome too. I love the little Lion King reference going on, and the I'm not Ginger thing is great as well. So when David Tennant is on the screen, this episode is top form. When he's not, it's just okay. Number 5. Rose. So the 9th Doctor's first episode. This is a possibly controversial one because it's not technically a post-regeneration story, but I am counting it on this list. So Rose, it started up the new era of Doctor Who, and it did it in a really good way. Rose is by no means a perfect episode, but honestly, I don't think they could have done much better for the first episode. I think bringing back the Autons was a great idea. You know, they started the 3rd Doctor's era, they were the first villain to be in colour, so awesome to see them return here. They also weren't an overused villain, so only being used in 2 stories in the classic series, so that works really well. Rose, really good, big focus in this episode. The 9th Doctor, really, really good. Just altogether, a well-paced story. Some pretty, you know, awful CGI effects looking back at it now with like the dustbin and all that sort of thing, but yeah, generally I think Rose is an enjoyable episode. Awesome to see how the new series started up. Number 4. Deep Breath. So the 12th Doctor's first episode, and yeah, I really do enjoy Deep Breath. I thought the 12th Doctor got off to a real good start with this first episode. We've kind of got the reappearance of the Clockwork Droids, although they're in a bit of a different form here to what they were in, you know, like Girl in the Fireplace from Series 2. But it's cool to see them at this different stage. You've got the Two-Faced Man, really cool. Generally the Doctor here, I think Peter Capaldi plays the Doctor perfectly in his first episode. He's pretty damn crazy, but also has that stern, serious side to him, and yeah, he just plays the character perfectly and really gets you going for what he's going to be like mainly for Series 8 and in the future. And yeah, I really enjoy watching Deep Breath. The whole dinosaur thing's a little bit, okay, that's kind of out of nowhere, but the rest of the episode really cool. You've got the Paternoster gang back as well, which is cool to see. Some really funny moments there with like Strax throwing the newspaper at Clara. Yeah, generally Deep Breath, thumbs up. Number 3. Power of the Daleks. So the second Doctor's first episode, the first post-regeneration story, Power of the Daleks. It's pretty good. It's quite sad that this is not available in normal form. I've just got the normal edition animated one. I haven't got the special edition, but yeah, it's completely animated and generally pretty good animation. I think for the Daleks especially, the Daleks look awesome in this animation. The people, I'm not really a massive fan of how the people look in the animation, but this isn't really about the animation. The story itself is a little bit long, but is really, really good. I mean, the whole episode, the episode where they're actually like showing the Dalek factory and all that sort of stuff, it's just crazy and it's scary. And yeah, for a Dalek episode, this is a pretty damn good one. It nearly scored a 10 out of 10. I think I gave it a 9.5 just because of a couple of little things here and there. But yeah, Power of the Daleks, pretty good episode. Number 2, the 11th Hour. So the 11th Doctor's first episode, and I mean, this is, I think, by a decent margin, the best opener of the new series. The 11th Hour is a pretty simple story. I mean, for an opening episode, or for an episode in general, the plot is not massive. You've got the whole Prisoner Zero thing, and yeah, it's not a massively threatening villain. But this episode does a really good job of, one, introducing this new Doctor who is very different to our previous Doctor. It also does a great job of introducing Amy, the new companion. Somewhat introduces Rory in there as well, although he doesn't really do a whole lot in this episode. You've got the villain, which, although not a major amazing villain, works perfectly in this concept because you don't want something overshadowing the introduction of this new Doctor and companion. You've also just got the whole new feel of the show under Stephen Moffat, under a completely new team altogether, apart from the music. It feels new, it feels refreshed, and it's very, very good. Number 1. Spearhead from Space. So the third Doctor's first episode, and for me, this is my favourite. I love Spearhead from Space. It's only 4 episodes long, 4 parts long, which is perfect for this episode. Don't want it to be any more, don't want it to be any less. The Autons, first episode for them, and they're brilliant. They're such good villains for this episode. Liz Shaw, her first appearance, really, really good. John Pertwee's at some of his best here. He's really, really funny. The whole shoes thing is hilarious. Just some really, really good funny stuff going on here. And generally I really, really enjoy this episode. It's just such a good one. I've watched it quite a few times. It's got to be one of my most viewed classic episodes, Spearhead from Space. Yeah, it does such a great job of everything that it needs to. Introducing the new Doctor, introducing the new companions, introducing this new villain, which are a very, very good villain, but at the same time, they don't overshadow what else is going on. And I think that's the perfect thing for a post-regeneration story. This one literally does it perfectly. I love it. Alright, so there we have it. That's my ranking of the post-regeneration stories from Doctor Who up until The Woman Who Fell to Earth, which is the current newest one. What would your ranking be of these 12 episodes? Please let me know in the comments down below. Remember, this one is personally my own opinion. Even if yours is completely different, I totally respect that, and I'd love to see what your thoughts are below. Anyway, what am I saying let's for? I don't know. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.